He's out there in the rain. He's out there in the sunshine. He's out there looking to find the best in movies and music. Our resident guru on all things movies and music, Barry Rushton.
Barry J.
Oh, I don't know about you, Jared. I'm nervous.
How many more races do you think?
Well, look, I just don't want to think that way. I know. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's still great.
Don't panic.
No, don't panic, Mr. Mannering.
Don't panic,
No,
Mr.
but
Mannering.
I tell you what. Okay, we always knew that they were going to find something somewhere, didn't we? I mean, we just can't help but think those Americans have got the dough. They've got the sleuthness of everything to be able to pull something out of somewhere. However,
Well, Barry, we could talk about the America's Cup all night, but we've got work to do.
we have got work to do. Man, have I got a great little movie I want to talk to you about. The reason I like this movie is because of the main actor again, and the main actor in this movie is a guy called Omar Sy. Now, I've mentioned this guy
you've talked
before.
about him.
You know, I've heard it before. He was on the Intouchables back in 2012, where he was the caregiver for this guy in the wheelchair.
That's
know,
right.
and
Yeah, I
it was
remember
the
that
most
movie.
wonderful film, and any person that I have spoken to who has not seen it, I say you must see that movie. Well, anyway, Omar Sy is in this new movie called Monsieur Chocolat. Now,
That's a great title.
Monsieur Chocolat.
Monsieur. Oh, I can't.
I can't even get it out, can you?
Can't even get it out. Monsieur Chocolat.
Now, it's based on a true story. This is the great part about it. Based on a true story set in the late 1800s. And so, consequently, he's Omar Sy, by the way. It's from West African immigrants. That's where he's born, but has lived in France all his time. So it is a French subtitle movie, but don't let that put you off. Okay, he's obviously a black man, and he escapes the poverty that he grew up in. As father was a slave, even though was sort of a butler. But a slave butler, So he escapes that, and he starts working as he gets bigger, working in a circus, in a little provincial French circus,
Wow.
And he calls himself Hannibal, or not Hannibal, but Cannibal, something like that. And he's got animals that he's training. Anyway, this little provincial circus is going okay, but only okay. And the owners of it start chastising the clown. There's a white clown guy, a white sort of bloke. And he's supposed to bring the people in, but his clown act is pretty hopeless, relatively hopeless. So anyway, this guy has this idea. Remember, this is based on a true story. This guy has this idea that he will get this black man and form a bit of a duo, but he'll be the fall guy. The black guy will be the fall guy for the white antics, And that's what happens. It starts, and so this guy is always being ridiculed. The Omar is, by the white guy, bashing him over the head with stuff and kicking him up the bum and all this stuff. He's the prat guy, the fall guy. But the comedy takes off, and it's just unbelievable. The people flock to the place, and it catches the attention of a promoter in Paris called the Nouveau Cirque, and so they come by and they sign them up, and so they say they wave ta-ta to the little provincial one, go to Paris, and it's a hit all over again. And so consequently now Omar, the poor boy, is now thrust into being famous, the first black famous person, but still also regarded in a bad light because back in those days the black people weren't supposed to achieve. That's not known, and so Omar gets a taste of the good life, and he starts having cars and drink and women and everything, and the whole thing starts to spiral in a way that you would be surprised.
Could imagine. Let's have a look.
Voici le roi maître Kananga!
Je cherche quelqu'un comme toi. Quelqu'un pour renouveler mon numéro.
Tu cherches un nègre?
Je cherche un clown pour m'assister. Alors vas-y, fais-moi rire. Stop, n'importe quoi. Tu crées pas de situation. Non, là, faut que tu la prennes cette baffe, là, comme ça, là.
Hop là! Je suis pas convaincu.
Tu nous laisses une chance.
C'est la première fois qu'un blanc me fait confiance.
Qu'un clown blanc te fait confiance. Uni, comme ça. Tu me lâches pas du regard.
Il y a de la folie dans notre duo. Messieurs, Paris vous attend.
What a fascinating movie, Barry.
It's fascinating. Now, the white guy, I hate saying white guy, but we'll use that term, is played by James, and I hope I say this right, Thiare, or something Thiare. He's the grandson of Charlie Chaplin.
Very close play.
All the French people are going, "Oh my God, Sacre Bleu, what are you doing?" But it's played by him. Yeah. And so, as you saw in there, he, Omar, I call him Omar because I don't want to call him his other name, gets thrown in jail, and he gets thrown in jail because of the jealousy of the wife of the previous the people that employed him. And so she calls the authorities up and says, look, he's in this country illegally. And they grab him, and stick him in jail and give him a hard time. Now, in jail, he meets a guy in there who says, look, you're always going to be persecuted. You're going to be taken advantage of. Your colour defines you, blah, 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 And he finally gets out, rejoins the circus again, and has to suffer the consequences again of being racially abused, basically. They kicked up the bum and whacked around the head and chased all over the place, and the actual fall guy, and it gets to him, as you imagine it would. It gets to him. And so sooner or later, he turns, and that's the kind of thing. So throughout this whole movie, and it's based on a true story, I'm not going to tell you how it ends, okay, but it is, again, the whole intricacy of that connection that the two of them had when it started working. They were having fun, they were making the money, but sooner or later it wears on you. Sooner or later that being bashed around.
What's that wonderful saying? Turns to turnips or goes down
custard.
the track.
Turns to custard, you know what I mean?
Turns to custard. I was trying to think that.
But it's true. And so even though the movie portrays what actually happens in his life, it really is symbolic around the relationship that the two of them had as things were going along. And so it's a beautiful movie. Monsieur Chocolat.
Where'd you see it, Barry?
Oh, well, my favourite places, of course, Rialto. I was at Rialto.
Rialto?
Yeah, well, I go to Rialto, as I said, because...
That's the one, that's in Newmarket.
Always in Newmarket.
Yeah.
Because the screenings that I go to are always at the most wonderful time. No good me going to a screening at 9 o'clock in the morning, as there often are ones, But these are always 6:15. I hate to say it, glass of wine, 6:30. I'm out of there by 8:30, home James, and I love it, Monsieur Chocolat.
Monsieur Chocolat.
Monsieur Chocolat.
What does it mean in English? It means Mr. Chocolate?
Oh, gee, fancy that. Hey, can you believe that?
God, I'm clever.
You are a clever guy. I hope we're as clever next week, mate. Good to see you. See you, buddy.